I know this is going to be helpful for someone out there, so I'm going to walk you through what I do when I'm changing heads on a snare drum. This particular snare drum is a Ludwig Acrolite. My buddy Damien at Lucky Penny Studios asked me to give it some love. It's seen a lot of session work, different players, different playing styles. The top has some pitting here. Guys, even some of the snare wires are coming off. First, let's take the old wires off. Next thing I'm going to do is remove both heads. Bottom head. Next thing I'm going to do is just wipe the drum down, remove any debris that may have collected there. Stuff always manages to get inside around the edges of the rim. Just trying to clear this off, make a good surface for the drum head to make contact with. Whenever you've got one head off of the snare drum, it's always a good idea to check the bolts or screws that are holding the lugs in place. You'd be surprised how often they vibrate loose. And you definitely don't want that screw to back out and pop off and then be bouncing around in the drum while you're playing. I'm going to throw on a Remo Ambassador. We still need to put the bottom head on, but what I'm going to do is tighten down the top head first and help it stretch out a little bit. That'll help us later when we go to tune it. I always go half turns, just brings the head down slowly. I like to go around and feel for any wrinkles. What I'm gonna do right now is just lean into the head a little bit. You'll hear that glue crack. And all we're doing right now is helping to seat the drum head. I'll give it a little bit more. Time for the bottom head. Remo Ambassador snare side. Super important. Make sure your holes line up with where the snare wires will go. We've all done it. We've been in a hurry, we're distracted, we put it on the wrong way. You get all the way to the end, you grab your snare wires, you go to put them on, and they don't line up with where the snare wires go with the strainer. Doing the exact same thing, bringing the tension just finger tight. And now we're just looking to remove any wrinkles. You don't have to go crazy getting them all pitch perfect. Just get them as close as you can. It's important that we get the snare side tension right so that it interacts with the snare wire. For snare wires, we're going to put on Evans Pure Sound. These are 16 strand wires. The drum previously had 16 strand on it. Sometimes I think for recording, that's the way to go. You don't get a lot of sympathetic buzz when you're playing around the drum kit. You know, you hit a rack tom or floor tom, you hear the snare wires buzz. Sometimes this just offers a little bit more control. You hear a bit more of the tone of the drum and the shell resonance and stuff. So it's preference. For the snare wires, I always start with the opposite side from the throw off. This part's not going to move. So if I can get the distance right and get it centered here, that helps me on the other side. We're going to bring the pitch up on the bottom head just a little bit. So we've got the new wires, new snare side head, new batter head. I'm going to tune this in sort of a medium place. This isn't my personal drum. It's not in my collection. It's for my friend, and he's going to be using it at his studio, and he's going to be tuning it differently for each session that he has. So I just want to put it in a good place for him where he can take it and tune it as needed so that when he throws it up in his room, they can determine, hey, do we need to bring it up? Do we need to bring it down? Is it great where it's at? That's it.